Hello and welcome back to the final series of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast before we rebrand in January. And it's going to be amazing. This is part 6 of the POCF Origin series. We have 9 parts, and 9 comes from the first blog post that ever started this community, which is 9 Things to Know When Dating a Commercial Fisherman. And each week I'm going through each part, talking about the background stories, lessons I've learned, and the lessons I've learned from the Partners of Commercial Fishermen community. And if you're new here, pull up a chair. Let's go down this road together. And this is really such a beautiful introduction, even though it's the ending of this series, but it's an introduction into what's next and really what has fueled this next chapter. It's all of these lessons that I've learned, all of these lessons that I've learned from the community and the stories that I've heard from women, and just learning what we truly need to survive, I will say, in any kind of volatility, whether you're in the commercial fishing industry, whether you have your own business, or life gets intense. Maybe you're raising kids by yourself. Maybe you're raising kids and taking care of elderly parents. There's so many different things that we become involved with, especially as women, that we are the caretakers for everyone around us. And so we need to definitely prioritize ourselves, or at least learn how to do that. Because I know for a lot of people it's hard, but we got this. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk more about. And it's all about the spaces for us. So for week 6, we're going to talk about the hardest part of loving someone who fishes, which is the silence and the not knowing, and that space that fear tries to fill in the blanks. And it's just made up stories in our head. So I'm going to go with number 6 of 9 things to know when dating a commercial fisherman. When you date a commercial fisherman, you'll resist calling the Coast Guard when you haven't heard from them in 2 weeks. Then you remind yourself that they're working off the grid and will call when they can. They're fine, you think, no worries, you'll say. Then you'll see a commercial for Deadliest Catch, and the worrying starts all over again. You'll emotionally slug through days of no communication, and then your heart jumps to your throat when you receive a text that says, "Just found a little bit of signal. I love you and miss you so much." Oh man, those texts, there's nothing like those texts, because there's a very specific kind of worry that comes from loving someone who works on the water, especially when they're out of range and you cannot connect with them. It's not normal worry. It's in your body. It's in your dreams. It's in the pit of your stomach. It's every moment of your day. You're constantly in the back of your mind thinking about this. And it's the kind of worry that shows up when they don't call when they say they would, when the weather's too quiet, or when it's too crazy out there, or news headlines get a little too close to home and there's no signal for days or weeks at a time. Then suddenly your brain's like, should I call the Coast Guard? Is this normal? What if something happened? And you tell yourself they're busy, they're working, they'll call when they can. But the mind doesn't always listen to logic, does it? And one of our private group chats, a woman who's been with her fisherman for 40 years, she always says, no news is good news. And I know we've heard that so many times, but truly that is such a great thing to go by, even though when you haven't heard from them, you're like, oh my God, that means that they've, God forbid, whatever it is. But no news is good news. So, it was those moments like that I questioned if I was strong enough for this life. And then it was when that fear felt unbearable, and then that text, that tiny little lifeline comes through. I just found a little bit of signal. I love you and miss you so much. It's that feeling, that relief just floods your body so fast that you actually kind of feel shaky, and you can breathe again, and your chest loosens, and your world clicks back into place. And over time, I learned something important. It's that worry doesn't mean weakness. It means you love someone doing dangerous work and that you're human. It's okay to worry. It's just, if that worry starts to penetrate to every waking moment of your life where you feel that you're going to have a panic attack, that's not great. You're able to control that, though. There are ways to do that. And while fear is normal, so is trust. You got to trust in their skills, also trust in your skills, that you can get yourself out of this. Trust in their crew, trust that the boat and the ocean will hold them, and trust that your love is going to help pull them home. But like I said, most of all, you got to trust yourself. You got to trust in that inner knowing that underneath the fear lies a woman who holds strength to see the light and won't and it won't pull her down to the depths of that darkness. And honestly, waste so much freaking time and so much of our lives worrying for things that aren't even true. There's a saying that says worrying is like praying for something you don't want. We'll let that sink in. Worrying is like praying for something you don't want. Just think. It's very similar to prayer in the sense that you're repeatedly like, oh my gosh, I hope this doesn't happen. Or please God, like, I hope this doesn't. That is like a prayer. And it's like you almost manifest it in a sense. You don't. I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying that's the same type of energy that you put out there for something that you want to manifest, for something that you want to bring into the world. Please, God, protect us. Please, thank you for every blessing that you've given us. Thank you for this food, whatever it is that you give those blessings to. Worrying is like praying for something you don't want. And I realize that not everybody out there believes in prayer or believes in God, and that's fine. Do what makes you feel good. And I want to share part of our survival guide, the POCF survival guide. There's a section called Prayer and Good Vibes. Because if you believe in a higher power, use your faith to ground you when you worry for their safety, because that is what's going to help you. That is always what's going to help ground you. My mother-in-law also has this prayer that I've used and I've shared with y'all before, but she used it while her husband was fishing and while her 2 kids were out on the water. And I love this one because it eases my heart when I don't hear from Chris or when I didn't hear from him for days or weeks at a time. You just say, they are in the perfect place at the perfect time, surrounded by God's white light. I'm going to say it again. They're in the perfect place at the perfect time, surrounded by God's white light. How much time do you spend worrying about what could happen out there? What could happen in the unpredictable nature of the ocean? We spend so much energy worrying about the people we love when they're on the water. And that's why having the right safety gear matters. Kent Safety Products makes Coast Guard-approved PFDs and flotation gear trusted by commercial fishing families for generations. It's comfortable, durable, and made for real life on the water, from the fishing grounds to family boating days. Because when we trust the gear that keeps them safe, we can spend less energy worrying and more time enjoying the moments that matter. Visit KentSafetyProducts.com to find the right gear for your crew. That's KentSafetyProducts.com. Isn't that just beautiful? And if you don't believe in a higher power, do what a 5th generation partner in our community recommends. She uses visualization. She visualizes the boat atop the ocean, bobbing like an unsinkable cork. And this comforts her to know that she can continue thriving as a mom of 3 who solo parents for up to 6 months at a time, y'all. Visualization. And if you can try this mantra alternative to the prayer above, all you have to say is, they're in the perfect place at the perfect time, surrounded by white light. And what I also love to do, and I did this even when I was traveling to visit friends, build a small altar. I love an altar. I love going to churches and visiting when I'm in different countries. When we were in Mexico sailing on the sailboat, I would go to different churches just to have alone time and just to be a part of that space that is full of prayer, quiet, even the scents. I love the sense of the incense, the frankincense, the myrrh, the candles burning. It was just so peaceful. And you could even bring that into your home. You can build a little small altar. It's like a little space to remember them during the season. And kids love this too. A simple altar can include a picture or a note, a small vase with a flower or other personal trinkets. You could place it on a dresser, a shelf, a windowsill, or even a bathroom or kitchen counter. And I call this spiritual real estate. And I love it because I also like to add a candle and burn sage or Palo Santo because it helps me activate my prayers and vibes. And I even have a little travel altar, and it has a tiny little candle. And actually the candle is a electric one, just like a little click on tea candle, Palo Santo. And I had a pic of Chris. And I like to take it when I'm going out of town. It was just these things that helped me felt connected to him. When I would wake up and I'd practice my morning yoga or meditation, I would turn that candle on. And there's even a partner in our community that has a little console in her house, and she has one of the lantern lights that are LED lights that are electric, I think battery or rechargeable. And every time our fisherman is out to sea, she turns the light on. And whenever he reports that he's back home, she turns it off. So it was kind of this beautiful little holding this space for him that she could feel connected to on his journey. Meditation has been a lifesaver for me. Even 3 deep breaths go a long way. So all you have to do is just sit or lie down for a few minutes without your phone. I put a do not disturb and a timer on. You can do this for a minute, 3 minutes, whatever. 3 breaths. You don't even have to set a timer for 30 seconds. You can do this whenever you feel like your nervous system is on edge. I've done this in the car. I've pulled over and locked my doors and will lean the seat back and have a little moment to myself. I'll set a timer and lay down on the couch for a set amount of time where it's in the middle of the day where I feel like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Like I'm feeling really scattered. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go lay down. I think my nighttime that I usually lay down is 11 minutes. The other day it was only for 3. But even if it's just a minute, just to simmer down, because guess what? Everything's going to be done. Everything's going to be accomplished. You're going to get everything finished. It's going to be fine. But just have that moment where you feel like, okay, now I can move through the day with more of a clear head, not feeling like I'm behind, not scattered. I got this. And connecting with community. That's huge, with other people who get it. And that's where our private chat has been so helpful. Because why? What's the alternative? You're just going to be spiraling and losing your shit, right? Because we've all been there. I know I have. And don't beat yourself up if you get there or you fall down the rabbit hole, because like I said, you're human. You just know that you have the tools to get out of it and you are not alone. And just know that the unknown is a teacher. I feel this so much right now. Unknown is a teacher. Patience is the way. Patience is the way. It teaches us surrender. It teaches us strength. And it teaches us deep faith in ourselves, our higher power, if you connect with one, and the people that we love. But you can't always control the outcome. But you can control how you take care of yourself while you wait. You can be scared and be strong. You can miss them and live your life. You can love someone who's far away and stay connected on shore, at home. Those things can exist together. It's not one or the other. And my favorite techniques to do this is in a downloadable. It's free for you. You can grab it. It's called the Calm Compass, and it's breath techniques, and it's an instant check-in to see how you are with your anxiety. And it's just tools designed to help recenter. It's nice little reminders too, because it's like, these are all things that we know, but it's also nice to have something on hand whenever we are feeling scattered. Like, okay, where's my go-to? What can I do? And in this guide, you can choose which one works best for you, and then just revisit when you want. Try something new if you want. So not a pressure at any time. You can download it in the show notes or at meganwaldrep.com/newsletter. Because life is unpredictable, but your connection, your breath does not have to be. Can you believe it? This is week 6. This has been the series of a celebration of where it's all began and a gentle shift into what's next. On January 7th, this podcast becomes the Megan Waldrep Podcast. The kind of stuff that you only share with your closest friends, and maybe things you don't share with your closest friends because you feel like maybe that's not really a topic that you talk about. I know spirituality is a big one for me. I love the topic of feeling connected to myself, but also to that inner compass, that knowing, that bigger part, that we're all a part of this one big consciousness, and to tune into what that means for me and how that guides me is super important to me. And it's not something that I talked with even to some of my closest friends. And also some of my closest friends, we all have different ideas about what that is. And that's totally fine. I love that. I love that we all have different backgrounds. Doesn't matter if you're Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, you don't believe in a higher power. There's still a connection there of how do you ground yourself? What does that mean for you? I love talking about all that stuff. And the next chapter of this podcast is not going to be any kind of pressure to fix yourself. It's just good company, honest talk, and a space to feel like yourself again. And a reminder that you're not alone, because sometimes the most healing thing you can do is take a break, tune in, and remember that you're already doing better than you think. The podcast name's going to change, but the connection stays and the journey evolves for us all. I'm looking forward to walking alongside you through it. So thank you for being here. With love and gratitude, I'll see you next week for part 7. Until then.